To Vlogtober. I'm going to be releasing a video every single day this month. They're not all going to be vlogs because I still will be doing my sit down videos, but for the vast majority they will be vlogs. So like 20 something of them will be vlogs. And we are going to start by going through my TBR. This is what the TBR is looking like going into October. Our quote of the week is, "There's only something left to love" by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, who is one of my favorite classics authors. This is so true. Life may feel like it sucks, but there's always some positive, even if it's just having a roof over your head or clothes on your body. Now let's go into what I'm focusing on reading. First we have volume 0. I feel like they're all volume 0. This is a book of the month. Issue 2, that's the thing that makes it different. A short story collection from book of the month. The first one I did end up unhauling. I did read it, but I ended up unhauling because I didn't care for the majority of the stories. So hopefully this one is better this time around. So we had that. Now we have my book club pick. I only start the month with whatever my book club voted on to read. And in October, it's The Reformatory by Tanner Dew. I know, and horror is our theme. This is historical as well. And we have Stephen Graham Jones and S.A. Cosby blurbing the book, and I've read from both of them. This one is in Florida, and it's like a school where boys would get sent to, and I think they didn't always come back. So let's see the description here. I'm going to take off the jacket. And is that a bug? No. This is dust or fuzz, but The Reformatory. What is it about? So Gracetown, Florida, June 1950. 12-year-old Robbie Stevens Jr. is sentenced to 6 months at the Gracetown School for Boys for kicking the son of the largest landowner in town in defense of his older sister, Gloria. So begins Robbie's journey further into the terrors of the Jim Crow South and the very real horror of the school they call the Reformatory. Robbie has a talent for seeing ghosts or haints, but what was once a comfort to him after the loss of his mother has become a window into the truth about what happens at the Reformatory. Boys forced to work to remediate their so-called crimes have gone missing, but the haints Robbie sees hint at worse things. Through his friends Redbone and Blue, Robbie is learning not just the rules, but how to survive. Meanwhile, Gloria is rallying every family member and connection in Florida to find a way to get Robbie out before it's too late. The Reformatory is a haunting work of historical fiction written as only American Book Award-winning author Tanner Dew could. By piecing together the life of the relative her family never spoke of and bringing his tragedy and those of so many others at the infamous Dozier School of Boys to light in this riveting novel. So yes, this was a real thing. These schools really did existed, where it was black young men, children, you know, because they're teenagers, being sent away, and some of them, you know, it seems like didn't come home, and just a lot of abuse. And this is something that I never knew about until this book came out. And Colson Whitehead also has a similar book. I'm not remembering what the title of that one is. Yeah, The Nickel Boys. I think it's The Nickel Boys, because there's several of his books that I want to read, but I think that's the one that is like a straight up historical fiction, where this one has some supernatural elements. But yeah, that ghost element sounds really interesting, because it says like he noticed it, you know, after his mother passed away, and he took comfort in it because like he knew his mother, you know, was still there. And this is just my assumptions, I haven't started the book. His mother was there with him, but now he gets sent away to this school, and he's seeing all the boys who sadly didn't make it or went through terrible things, and is being burdened kind of with knowing all of that, and is anybody going to believe him and all that. So that is what I'm taking away from that description, but I will be starting that, and I am going to be doing the audiobook for that one. And I love all the books I read that take place in Florida. I was wondering if it said where Tanner Dew is from, but I don't think it does. But she teaches Black horror and Afrofuturism at UCLA. That sounds like an interesting course. So this one is going to be my mood read. I just don't know when I'm going to be able to get to it. I have baseball tonight, but I don't think I will tomorrow, knock on wood. I don't know what the schedule is past today. So I don't think I'm going to be able to do a mood read tonight, because that's my 9 o'clock hour reading. But we have the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. And it's the season to fall in love. This is available on Kindle Unlimited. This is by Lori Gilmore, and this is a romance, a small town spicy romance. I don't know exactly what tropes we have going on here, but that is that one. That book smells really good. I love with these books the colors. They all kind of match, the blues and the oranges, and blue and orange go together anyway, but seeing them all together, so satisfying. And lastly, we have 1984 by George Orwell, which is what I'm reading on ebook. I'm sure y'all know what this book is about. War is peace, freedom is slavery, and Big Brother is always watching. And those are all the books that I am going to be focusing on for the rest of the week. And I don't know how long it's going to take me to get through these books, but this is the only one that I'm actually in at the moment. I haven't started any of the others, but I will start volume 0, issue 2 shortly. We're doing our second thing that we're going to do every morning. We're not going to do the TBR every morning, but this is something we will do every morning. This is something that I've been doing on my TikTok, but I wanted to make it exclusive to Vlogtober because it is kind of spooky. I call these my mystical mornings. Now today I did get to sleep in because I don't work on Wednesday, but it is 12:32, so you know, close enough to the morning time. And if you hear all that, the vacuum's going in the other room and it's hitting the door, because the door doesn't shut all the way because it has one of those roof things. So I don't know. I didn't even put that there. I don't know why my dad just randomly threw it on that door. But we are going through dream sequences, the cards that I drew the day before, and if they came to culmination or whatever. So I guess we will talk about the cards that I drew yesterday first. And this is my little notebook. I definitely need to get a pencil. So I had the 9 of Spells and the 4 of Boons. Let me make sure that's really what I had, and this isn't from... Okay, yes, this is what I had, and the 9 of Boons was reversed. So the 4 Boons, so the 9 of Spells is the 9 of Wands, and that means courage, persistence, test of faith, and resilience. 4 of Boons reversed means overspending, greed, and self-protection. So I did not spend any money yesterday. So that is, because y'all know, I'm trying to cut out y'all know out of my vocab, because I realized I say it so many times in my videos and I don't want to do that. But I have been wanting to buy a lot of just I wanted to commission an art thing on Etsy, but I was like, I don't need to do this right now. I just need to trust my intuition, trust my gut. So I did do pretty good with avoiding that. So that's good. But let's talk about my dream. So my dream, I don't know if it was me or if it was somebody else, because I have a lot of third person dreams. And these dreams, there was a trip to Amsterdam and Paris, but I walked from Amsterdam to Paris, and it didn't take long, you know, not like the real world, but my foot was hurting so bad in the dream, and it was all red and bruised, and I walked 100,000 steps. Does this mean anything? I don't know. I had this dream encyclopedia that I inherited from my mom, and I don't think these cities will be mentioned in here, so maybe feet. We'll see if there's feet. Yeah, I don't really know how the world of dreams works. It's like I have this book, might as well use it. Some people might find this intriguing or something. Leg, your own point of view, independence, to stand on your own, always a symbol for being grounded, as in basement and floor, according to phallic symbol, okay. Astrology, sign of the fish. So maybe it means I am going to be very independent today, which I think I have been. So we have that. Now we are going to do my card reading. I do 2 cards a day. Y'all are going to see how I do this. If you don't watch my TikToks, this will be like your first time maybe seeing how I do this. I have the Force of Enchantment deck. This was made by Luea Weatherstone, illustrated by Mirella Allwood. So we are going to shuffle our cards here, and I'm first going to ask, what do I need to know about my day today? I have like some specific questions, but I don't know if you ask a specific question, like more so. Mine is, I'll just say it. I've been thinking of an old friend lately, and I've been wondering if I should contact her. I don't know if this is the right time to bring that person back into my life, but I've been wondering about that. So, but I don't know if I draw a card, is this going to be like, yes, you should? No, I don't know, yes or no, because sometimes when I look up the meanings of cards, it says the 9 of spells, yes or no. And I'm like, so I don't know what all that means. So I'm just going to ask, what do I need to know about my day today? So then I'm going to display the cards all out. Okay, one started flipping over, and it is the 9 of Boons, which I did get. Was it yesterday, or I have got it this week. So the 9 of Boons, this is the 9 of Cups, and this is what I need to know about my day today. So gratitude, luxury, self-sufficiency, and cultivation. It kind of goes with my dream, where with the foot, how it said that means you're grounded and independent. So self-sufficiency is kind of going hand in hand with that. So that's kind of interesting. Now, what parts of my life am I going to experience this cultivation in? That's my next question. And I'm going to draw this card here. And we have the Child of Boons reversed, which is the Page of Pentacles reversed. I actually don't know what this card means, so I'm gonna have to look it up. But we have this little boy. He's outside like this candy house, you know, like a gingerbread house. Is it Hansel and Gretel who has, there's something where there's that kind of story. So he's reaching out to touch it. He's not quite touching it, but it's very intriguing. So maybe we're in the, you know, getting close to getting what we want. But this isn't the reverse. So maybe it's like, don't get too close. You're not there yet. Don't grab at it yet. So I'm going to look up what this card means. The worst thing that could have just happened. My phone fell between the bed and the wall, and like, it's not, hold on, I got it. But that was so scary because I'm like, I don't have a flashlight at hand. I would have to go to another room, and yeah, that was very scary. So we need to put my phone over here. But I have drawn the Child of Boons reverse before, but it's been like a year since I have, so that's why I was like, I don't know what this means. So it means lack of progress and planning, short-term focus. So that form of where I'm going to experience self-cultivation is in short-term focus, lack of progress, and planning. So maybe if the more independent I am, that will prevent me from having a lack of progress. That's my guess. But I do go and research everything just to get a better understanding. I do Google a lot of stuff. I'm not saying I use the Google AI. I go on like tarot websites just to get a better understanding, because I've been doing this series to get an understanding of tarot, to understand the deck of cards that I have more. So I'm just gradually, having 2 cards in my deck. But also we have to remember the question I asked about like the friend, which I didn't directly ask it because I'm not ready to do a yes or no. So I wonder if any of this could lean into that. I don't know, but that was my mystical morning with you guys, even though it's afternoon. I just got home from the bookstore, and I want to show y'all what I got, even though you would have seen pretty much, I think you saw 2 of the books in the B-roll footage that I got. But I went there, so I was looking for the highest read horror books on my TBR according to Goodreads, or on my to buy list according to Goodreads. These were pretty far down the list. I could not find the top 5. I had the horror section is literally only 2 bookcases and then 1, small table. It's not a ginormous section. So the first book that I got This one is The Night Parade by Ronald Malfi. I don't know what this is about. Okay, it's about a plague, and I love plague stories. It says, they call it wanderer's folly, a disease of delusions, of daydreams and nightmares, a plague threatening to wipe out the human race. It says, first the birds disappeared, then the insects took over, and the madness began. So I do love plague stories, and to me, a lot of times those kind of books get listed as sci-fi. In my opinion, they are horror. Like, I always bring it up. The Book of the Unnamed Midwife. That is the only book I've ever read that has given me nightmares. Like, that book is so scary. It's my biggest fear. So this one, you know, is kind of going right in tune with that. Next, I do have another book by this author on my TBR this month, and this one is kind of a Christmassy one, and that's Krampus the Yule Lord by Brahm. I am going to try to read Slowfoot this month. I think I'm going to be doing it as a buddy read because one of my friends kind of wants to check it out, so if he does, then it's 100% going to be read. But just the way my TBRs have been going lately, it's just been so many big books that I have not been able to get to everything. But this is, you know, about Krampus. The author and artist of The Child Thief returns for the modern fabulous tale of Krampus, the Lord of Yule, and the dark enemy of Santa Claus. So Santa Claus is the villain in this one. Now, as I said, those were the only two that I could find. I took 3 screenshots of my Goodreads list. So, I mean, however many books, so that's like, let's say 6 times 3, what is that, like 18 books? I could only find 3 of them, and I'm allowed to buy 3 books today. And I was like, I have no idea, because I saw a lot of books, but which one did I want? So I thought this one had the most, like, October vibes, horror vibes by the title. It's The Devil 3 Times by Ricky Fain. And I didn't realize this cover is like an optical illusion. I thought that was kind of cool. But it says, an audacious debut novel spanning 8 generations of a black family in West Tennessee as they are repeatedly visited by the devil. That, when it was 8 generations, and I saw that it does go all the way back to on the slave ship en route to the United States. That is as far back as it goes, and goes over 175 years. So that, y'all know, I love the big epics like that. I've never heard of this book before, so it was kind of like spur of the moment. This is gonna be the one I get. And those are the books that I got on my Barnes & Noble trip this month. Everything just feels so hectic. Like, I got interrupted while I was reading, so I finished at 7:30, and y'all know that's when I eat my dinner. I feed the cats. I have to get Delilah in. Like, the first of the month is only so stressful, and then you have everybody who's just pounding all this stuff on you, and I'm like, I have to do all of this, and it's so just stressful to think about because we had the baseball game tonight. I have to edit this vlog. I have to put all these notes that I'm about to tell y'all. I have to tell y'all, then I have to go put it into Fable. And I know everybody's gonna be like, you don't need to put it on Fable. Yeah, I do, because if I don't, I have to do it. It's just, I have to. So don't try to tell me I don't need to, because a lot of time when I complain on here, I'm not asking for advice. I'm just venting. So just to let y'all know that. But let's go through my thoughts. So the first one is Mariana, Florida. I want to look that up. I want to see what part of Florida this is taking place in. But then we get into chapter 1. So we have our character of Robert, and he just seems so innocent. Just that child, that being a child. And then we see, obviously, he gets accused of this crime. And so he has that, but also he's this young little boy, and he has all this, the haints and the ghosts that he's seeing, where he does not comprehend like what that is why he's seeing all this. Like, he doesn't understand that, and so is, in a sense, is just really showing through the page. And also, as I said, this is in the Jim Crow era of the South, where in 1950 in Florida, and it just shows how much hadn't changed since slavery. Slavery was abolished, but these people are still living on the lands that their ancestors, you know, were enslaved on. They're still within, you know, close contact with the family that had, you know, owned their family, and there's still just that divide. Not a lot had changed. So chapter 2, this was the second time Florida State got mentioned in something I read today. First was in the short story that I read, and then in here. So Florida State University, I guess, shout out to the Seminoles, I don't know. But there was this one instance about God blinking, and that is when the bad stuff in life happens. And I had just never thought about that before, and really just thought that was poetic and a wise way to look at things. Also, if you're a fan of the movie Sinners, which is a horror movie, so, you know, horror for October, for spooky season, I do recommend. That this really reminds me of Sinners just because of the atmosphere of the world building, and here is fantastic at immersing you in this world. But the audiobook started with kind of like a country guitar, banjo, some kind of instrument playing, some kind of string instrument. I was like, oh my gosh, this is giving me Sinners vibes right off the bat. Now, chapter 3, a lot of times with like older white people in the South, I'll hear them being like, I've straight up heard that they said like slave, like if a slave was out of line or whatever, they deserve to be beat. And I'm just like, what? And like, I've heard like just, you know, I've heard very racist things. It's very disheartening. But it's like, they're like, oh, it only happened if they deserved it, or it only happened to a, you know, a certain kind of person, like it's only to a bad person. And no, we're seeing it to a 12-year-old boy. Like, what really happened here, how he kicked this other guy in the knee, this other like teenage boy, that I think that just needed to be like, they need to be sat down and talked to, both of them, because I mean, obviously kicking somebody and being violent, like, I mean, this guy was like offended his sister, you know, but still, like, you know, when this happens, it makes sense why he would kick him and everything. They just need to be sat down, talked to, be like, that's not how we fix things around here. And also to the Lyle guy, like, no, you don't need to be making those kind of comments to women. So, like, that's how it should have been handled. But obviously, we are in Jim Crow era Florida, and that's not how it was handled. So I'm just saying, like, it does not matter if it is a 12-year-old little boy. There is no empathy whatsoever. And with the character of Gloria, like, you can feel all this confusion. She is seeing her little brother be taken away and sent to this place, and she just doesn't know what to do because there's no adults in her life. Her mother passed away, and her dad left them to go to Chicago, and she just doesn't know what to do, and you can really feel that confusion. And we go to chapter 4 now. So there's some good. We have Mr. Loman. And it seems like a reverse of the blink. It seems like everything terrible is happening, and only those blinks are when the good things are happening. But I don't know. That's something I have to think more on. And like, yeah, Gloria and Robert should not be beating themselves up so much. But again, they are children. They do not understand. Like, they needed a trial, which I don't think they needed a trial. I told you, I think the two people and the two boys, they just needed to be, you know, sat down and talked to, but they needed a trial. They didn't have any adults with them, so they shouldn't beat themselves up so much, but, you know, it's understandable why they are. And then with chapter 5, just the crookedness of the politics of all of this, like with the school and all of that. Next we have chapter 6, so the haunts, I think, is kind of symbolism of how history haunts us, the history of this country. Also, I'm not trusting like any of the white people in here. Mr. Loman, not even trusting him. Like, I am like this, no. And yeah, Mr. Haddock, he is just so twisted, like pervert for one. And then we see like these pictures on the wall, and I'm like, yeah, he's given me the creeps. So in chapter 7, I was wondering if it was something more than ghost, but I think it's still ghost. I'm not going to go into more of that. But with the, we seem to have this theme of, okay, so with Haddock, I said there were pictures on the wall, and he told Robert, he's like, that is how people were remembered back then, back in 1900. And you know, that's how a face would have been remembered. Then we have Gloria, who is like a cook, like she cooks at this household, and she is talking to old lady Powell, who is like the old lady, like the grandma, the grandma of this family. She's like 90 years old, you know, and is losing her mind. But she said, so she, you know, is having to be fed, and she's just very confused. And this quote says, "Was this all life was? A series of experiences and then someone feeding you as if none of it had ever happened, as if you had never left any impression on the world." And that's on page 78. So that's just a theme I'm picking up on. And also I'm at 15% to let y'all know. Next, I needed a Powell family tree at first, but now I have an understand. So we have Anne, who is 21. Her brother is Fred. Their father was a councilman. He passed away, and the councilman's father was old lady Powell. So that is all for the vlog today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I feel like it was a lot of b-roll, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and welcome to Vlogtober once again. And as always, comment, rate, and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell to be notified when all my videos go live. If you made it through this whole video, leave a Halloween emoji in the comments below, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!